G'day Yakfishers, it's Chew on that Tuesday. Going to depart from seafood for this week. We're going to do some pulled beef with beans and rice. So here we go. I've got this barbecue on what is technically known as screaming hot. I've just got the beef there, it's just been rubbed with salt, pepper, veg oil and rosemary straight out of my garden, just jammed on there like that. Surprisingly, that actually works really well. Even as the rosemary burns, it still imparts a lot of flavour. So we'll let that sit there and seal away. So as I chop my onions here, I'll tell you that I'm actually making this for some friends of mine who are very intolerant people. Gluten and dairy intolerant, that is. So this will be a good hearty meal, and purely by choice of ingredients. It's entirely dairy and gluten free, so good if you've got people that you know that have those issues. So still screaming hot, curly, nice dark bit of coloration on it there. As you can see, that rosemary's burning off, still putting that flavour in. So let them go for a bit longer. Alrighty, so they are now done thoroughly. Just take them off, sling them into a casserole dish. Get all those extra little goopy bits off the barbecue. Go over here, grab a couple of bay leaves off the tree and chuck them in there too. Okay, so I've just browned off my onions in there. I didn't bother showing you that bit. I like to get them cooked before I add the garlic. Now that the onions are brown, we're going to add in our spices. We've got cumin seeds, paprika, fair bit of that, because that'll give you that sweet sort of smoky flavour, and coriander ground. And you want a fair bit of spices in there, so I mean, I'm not measuring obviously, but I guess it's probably almost a tablespoon of paprika, about the same of coriander powder, and about a teaspoon of cumin seeds. I could put a lot of chili in there as well at this point, and most people will. And then I've just got 1.5 diced tomatoes. Those spices are going to take a second to toast off, so they're good to go. Those tomatoes will break down a little bit, and they have the job of cooling that pan down. Oh, that's not good for it. And then once those tomatoes are partway broken down, 10 of crushed tomatoes, and then I just refill that tin with water. So you've got a tin of water and a tin of tomato in there. My rice has come to the boil. Incidentally, with rice, basically you put it in the pot, and then you get up to that first knuckle of your finger above the rice worth of water, put it on, bring it to the boil, turn it to low, put the lid on, and then give it 8 minutes. Usually that's pretty close for a totally inaccurate way to measure. And finally, a good squirt of barbecue sauce. Just gives it that little bit of boost. We don't really need to simmer it because it's going to sit in the oven, and essentially that's the simmering job. And we pour it over our beef. There's a lot of sauce to beef, but what you've got to remember is we are going to add beans at the end. So then I'm going to stick that in the oven at about 140 uncovered, because the oven gets a lot better flavour than the slow cooker. See you in a couple of hours. Alright, so it's been about 2 hours. I've just had a poke around with a pair of forks, and the meat's not tender enough to pull apart yet. But I've got to go out, so I'm going to move it over to my slow cooker and it'll finish off in there. Okay, so that has now had 2.5 hours in the slow cooker on top of the 2 hours that it had in the oven. And I'm going to do a little bit of a swapsy. So I'm going to put in the corn kernels from one corn, cut off the cob, 1 tin of 4-bean mix, 1 tin of black beans. And then I'm going to take out the beef. There's some more in there, but just for the sake of showing you, just using 2 forks, just shred it apart. Stir the rest of those beans through, and I'm going to put the meat back in. So there you have it, slow cooked pulled beef and beans, ready to go. I'm going to serve mine with rice and some other grilled vegetables as well. But yeah, you could serve it straight up like that if you like. And that's it. See you next Tuesday.